everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Veronica and I'm currently a Master's of Social Work student at the Renison College, University of Waterloo. And I will soon be graduating with my Master's of Social Work, which is very exciting. So I'm here today in beautiful Northern Ontario, Temagami, to share with you my capstone creation, which is this book. If you would like to check out the book, it will be available online so that you're able to see. But I want to share with you today my presentation. So the reason that I'm here on this boat is that it is a symbolic of my journey throughout my program, and also the backdrop is a forest because the illustrations in my book depict that the story has taken place within a dark forest, which is behind me. So to begin, I'm just going to walk you through briefly through certain elements of my presentation. So my presentation is called Mako's MSW Journey, Spirit of the Wolf, and I'm just going to kind of briefly go through it. So the presentation outline, this is just going through the few things that we'll talk about. A little bit about us. So my name is Veronica, as I said, and I currently work at the Joseph Brant Hospital in Burlington as an emergency room and ICU social worker, and I've actually worked there ever since my graduation with my BA BSW back in 2000. I live in Binbrook, Ontario with my husband, and I absolutely love my job. So I'm very excited to share with you also my two dogs who were the inspiration in my book. Macallan, who's my youngest, and Hennessy, who's my oldest. So these, my two dogs have a very big role in my book. So our journey began back in 2017. That was the start of the program. And until now, this is my capstone. So the reason I chose a story is that a story is a way of reflecting back on our time throughout our program. So it was also a way, each story, each page illustrated a part of my journey. It also encompasses my passion for animals, for nature. It's meaningful, it's illustrative of narrative therapy, and it's also based on the work of Thomas King, where we learned about the power of stories. And also so where I envision my MSW as a journey, as a storybook, and my peer discussion as a way of opening new paths. So the process started with confronting my fear of change through ideation and preparation, and then proposal and execution, which was the creation of my book. Timetable just illustrating starting my BSW or my MSW program, my practicum, and then the completion to where we are at this date. So a journey of 1,000 miles starts with this single step. So this is symbolic of where my character first begins his the part of the book, and this is also symbolic of the path that I walk on every day, which is usual and familiar, until I started my MSW. So the path that I was on was very much looked the same every day. So when is a good time to start your MSW? Well, when you meet a wolf. So a wolf character is very symbolic in my book. That was the start of when I started my Master's in Social Work. And at first I was not sure because I felt like the wolf was kind of an intimidating character, wasn't sure about my own abilities. But then as I follow the wolf into the forest, then I start meeting some new characters, which teach me some lessons and also ways that I've learned about myself and my professional development. The owl is also symbolic because the owl could oversee the journey and where I needed to head, and also some skills around assertive communication, which is also something that's helping me with my advocacy throughout my development. So the main characters are based on my family, peers, professors, supervisors, and mentors. So there's a lot of characters in my book, so I'm not going to talk about all of them today, but just briefly, I've mentioned the wolf and the owl. The baby fawn is representative of my peers, meeting them, and the baby fawn gives my main character some reassurance that he is not alone in the forest. The baby fox, my character in my book, makes some assumptions that the baby fox is in need of help, that's representative of bringing in our own values, our own assumptions into a new environment, and perhaps, also our own biases. So there's a lot of detail of where I got the inspiration in my presentation. The father fox is also lets my main character know that he should not be making any assumptions and that he needs to respect cultural diversity. The rabbit is symbolic of also representing that we need to be mindful of how we may appear. So in the book, my puppy wants to play with the rabbit, and the rabbit is actually visualizes the puppy as a wolf. And even though the wolf doesn't see, or the puppy doesn't see himself that way, that's how the rabbit views him. So it is important for us to always be mindful of how we may be perceived in our own power. The bear is also illustrative of guides and mentors, professors, those who could teach us the skills that we need to survive, but ultimately are asking us, what tools or resources do you have? You need to work together with your groups, with your peers, to establish your own resources and networks. So the beaver is a character who teaches me a lot throughout the book about survival, learning new skills, and he's symbolic of group work. And the moose. So the moose is also representative that we need to, in order to survive, we need to be working as a team. The porcupine is representative of my supervisors throughout my MSW practicum, and recognizing the value of having supervision, because the porcupine acts as a guide for the puppy through the forest. The raccoon is symbolic of making assumptions about others. Sometimes we may think raccoons are up to no good. So my puppy in the book makes some assumptions about the raccoons, as well as the coyotes, who sometimes get a bad rap in the forest. So a lot of assumptions and biases are learned here. And the baby coyote is representative of the youth that we learn throughout our program, and how much knowledge and resources that they can teach us. The turkey vulture is symbolic of self-care and needing to make sure that we are also taking care of ourselves throughout this journey in order to take care of others. And so my puppies, so why Mako and why Sakura? So my puppies were part of the book. Mako's name actually translates into wolf. It's a Native American name for wolf, and I chose that to illustrate that we also have to tap into our cultural heritage, ancestry, and also the wolf who appears in the sky is symbolic of him tapping into his inner wolf, who acts as his spirit guide, where he learns leadership characteristics, how to believe in himself. And then the Sakura actually represents part of my book where I actually needed to focus more on some self-care. I'm recognizing that my health was not the greatest and that I needed to take some time out. So that's why I included that, and that's actually a photo that I've taken on one of my trips during the program. So flowers matter, because just living is not enough. One must have sunshine, freedom, and a little flower. So theories that have been incorporated would be systems theory, person environment, motivational, strength-based, and person-centered are kind of the central components of my story. And within the forest, there's lots of systems, so we have to recognize that creatures and animals and people are surviving within their own environment, and that we are not making assumptions about what they are going through. So professional values and competencies that I drew through for the book: collaboration, diversity, social justice, advocacy, person-centered support, strength-based, ethics, rights, critical thinking. All of those are depicted in the book. My professional identity, which is emerging. So I've been very actively involved throughout my career with crisis and trauma, grief and loss, which will still probably stay the same and part of my journey. Commitment to change, passion, creativity, and then recognizing growth is a lifelong process. So future paths. So at the end of my book, you will see that Sakura enters in and talking about where her future is going to be. So future paths, where is Sakura heading? So one of the things I recognized throughout this program was that I wanted to incorporate more my love for animals and animal-assisted therapies. That was inspired through writing a blog in one of our courses, which is, I've got an illustration on the front page I created. And then future inspiration may also come from my practicum. So I'm thinking possibly in the future about private practice, a family health team, These pictures are symbolic because in the family health team in particular, I learned more about relaxation, mindfulness, different types of CBT, different types of therapeutic modalities to also incorporate into my practice. And then the sailboat is representative of maybe sailing into a new direction. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, and I wish you all the best on your future paths. So I've got myself, McAllen, and Hennessy, and then how to reach us. And if you want to check out the information, there'll be a link online on the ePortfolio. Thank you very much for joining me today.